Well, joining us now to discuss this further is criminal law expert Marius Du Toit. Joins us on the phone line. Good morning to you, Mr. Du Toit. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Abigail.
If you could just explain to us and break down for us, 3 life sentences have now been given to Henry van Breda for that brutal killing of his family. Just break this down for us. What does 3 life sentences mean?
I think firstly we have to remember that when Henry van Breda's legal team addressed the court, they had to show compelling and substantial reasons for the court to deviate from the minimum sentence of life imprisonment. Because where murder is premeditated, Abigail, it carries a life imprisonment sentence as mandatory. Mm-hmm. So in this instance, his attorney was unable to forward any reason. So what this means in practice is he will serve, even though it's 3 life sentences, he will serve 1 sentence of life. The rest will just run concurrently with that. So it's like 1 life sentence swallows up the rest of the sentences, and he will only be eligible for parole. Now, in terms of the Act, it says that once you've served half of your sentence, you have to be considered for parole. But it's not to say that you'll be given parole. So typically in his case, he would have to stay behind bars for 25 years before they would consider him for parole, or before he would be released on parole.
Mm-hmm. With regards to the attempted murder of his sister, he was given 15 years. Was this the expectation?
Well, I think that's fair. You know, interestingly enough, if I perpetrate murder and there's no premeditation, it carries a minimum sentence of 15 years. The fact that he was handed a 15-year sentence for attempted murder, I think really illustrates the veracity or the severity of the attack on his sister, number one. It shows that it was premeditated. So because it was premeditated and the severity, and of course the fact that his sister will never be the same again, that justified the sentence. It is a heavy sentence nonetheless, but keeping in mind that all those sentences, of course, will still mean that he will only serve life imprisonment.
Mm-hmm. Marius, what sort of factors was taken into consideration here? You briefly touched on that. We do know that he said that he was innocent, and he stuck to that. There are also some people who are of the view that he showed zero remorse in this regard. But talk us through the factors that the judge took into consideration when handing down the sentencing.
Typically, when any judge sentences, Abigail, he considers 3 factors. One being the seriousness of the offence, the personal particulars of the accused, and then lastly, would consider the interest of society. Now, in this instance, firstly, we have to say that the personal particulars were placed before the judge, and there was nothing extraordinary about that in itself. He's a young man. He's been, the whole family has been killed. He was working and all these sort of things. So that is standard factors, and there's nothing exceptional about that. In respect of the severity of the crime, we know that this was severe. I mean, an axe was used to brutally kill his family, and sometimes it happens that even though the court considers all these factors, these 3, the court can say, well, listen, one factor is so much more severe than the others that it causes me to emphasize this. And in this instance, the court emphasized the severity of the crime, the severity of the attack, the severity of the brutality shown by Henry van Breda in the attack, and the fact that he used an axe. You know, the one witness made reference of the fact that it was the worst crime scene he'd ever seen. The blood was coming down the staircase like a waterfall. Now, that gives you an indication of the severity of the attack that was perpetrated. So when you look at the severity of the offense, it, of course, outweighs these personal particulars. And then the interest of society, Abigail, when you deal with crimes that are as heinous as this, there's a public outcry for retribution, and there's an outcry to make sure that the sentence meets the severity of the crime. And in this instance, I think both the interest of society and the severity of the crime completely outweigh the personal particulars of Henry van Breda.
All right, Marius, thank you very much for unpacking those details for us and providing some clarity. That was criminal law expert Marius Du Toit joining us on the phone line, just reacting to this news that has come through this morning that Henry van Breda has now been handed 3 life sentences. He's also been given 15 years for the attempted murder of his sister, and also another year for obstructing the course of justice. These will run concurrently. But